So, the year was 2000, and there was a girl. There's always a girl in one of my stories, and her name was Julie, and she was best friends with my best friend, who was Annie, and I was really interested in Julie. She found out. Annie told her. Annie literally told her, and my world. If you could take a bag of stuff and blow up the bag of stuff, that's how I felt at the time. I was also the only minority in school. So yeah, there's that. Well, apart from my sister, my younger sister, Michelle. Okay, right, let's get into this. So, Julie knew, she found out, I'm coming into school. As you do, in the morning, just like this, coming into school. And Julie stops me and she says, "Hey, you're smart, right?" And I'm like, is that a statement or a question? Well, I didn't say that. I wish I said that. I thought to say that, but I wasn't that cool. Anyway, and she was like, oh, I would love to talk to you on the playground at break time. And any kid who's anybody ever in the history of school knows when anybody invites you to the playground, that's when it goes down. Except this was a private school, so there was like a playground and there was like huge fields. So there was like this like bench thing where like her and Annie used to hang out. Anyway, so I'm supposed to go meet her there like break time. Break time was like 12 o'clock, 11:30, something like that. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, gonna go meet Julie. Maybe my wildest dreams are about to come true. And Julie starts to talk, and Julie's like, "Hey, somebody told me that you like me," and I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about." She's like, "I'm pretty sure you do like me because like I can tell," and I'm like, "No, I don't like you. I'm not interested." So Julie and I having this conversation. I'm like, "Huh, huh, 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 huh." I confessed. I was like, "Yeah, I've really been interested in you for a long time. I think we have a lot of things in common. I think you're pretty, blah, 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 blah. Really good at math." And she says, and I quote, "You are a black guy. I wouldn't date you if you were the last person, or no, if you were the last guy on the face of this planet." I wouldn't say my earliest experiences of racism, but that cut deep on so many levels because one, I was already black minority. Two, I was dyslexic. Three, I had zero self-esteem or self-confidence at that point in my life. Four, I was already like really struggling with depression. So all of those, and then fifth, I was being bullied. So on top of all that, and she was one of the people who bullied me. After that experience, she became the number one culprit for bullying me or saying really terrible things about me in school or in classes. And going to that school was a living hell because there were other people who were either like covertly racist or like straight up just pretended to be your best friend and then like stabbed you in the back. So that story, like, what did that do for me? One, that probably made me like shrink into my shell 100% more than I already was. And if you know me pretty well or you know my journey, you know what kind of impact that had on my life. But yeah, why am I doing this video? I wanted to use my platform, as small as it is. It's a voice, and voices are important. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a Christian and love God, love our brothers as we love ourselves. I just wanted to paint like a really quick picture of what that is like. So in an ordinary day situation, here is me as a black guy and I need to go out. I have to pre-calculate what I want to do in the day, okay? If I want to go to do some food shopping, grocery shopping, whatever you want to call it, and buy something, I have to make sure, one, my hair is combed. Your hair cannot be like sticky outy in any way. You need to be properly shaved. You need to make sure your face is bright, like your eyes are open wide, like people see you cheerful and not like have a negative or aggressive demeanor, because the minute you even look like some guy with a hoodie, you're being stereotyped. People think you're about to commit a felon. They are already intimidated by your presence. Now, I am a 6'1" black, 32-year-old black male. I only have to show up on the street and people are ready to jump off of the other side of the bridge. And nobody can tell me that that's not real because I've seen it. I see it. I only need to show up. I only need to be in the queue. And people are freaking out. If the clerk behind the desk isn't either about to lose their mind or there's some woman in the queue cutting you like dagger eye because why in the world are you in my queue right now? Those are some of those are some of the realities that I go through on an ordinary day basis. Now, obviously, coronavirus happened, so it's like everybody's in their house. Cool. Those are the things that you've got to pay attention to. If I even stand on the street for longer than a couple of minutes, if I'm not actually on my way to do something or at the bus stop, I'm already flagged. Like, people are wondering, what's this guy doing? Like, he's been stood on the corner on the phone for the last 10 minutes. Those are the thoughts that are going through people's mind. Now, okay. Some people will say, you can't always care what people think, but when the majority of people who are thinking it are those who you exist in a society that's not conditioned to support you as an ethnic minority, especially a black person, then you're in trouble no matter where you go, because it only takes that person to go from, hey, how's your day going, to, oh man, it's this black guy again. Maybe you want to say I'm being extreme. This is my personal experience, and I will not apologize for being truthful and being honest. This is very different for me because I'm one of those people who I'm genuinely seen and not heard, and perhaps that's been perpetuated by the way that society is, and so it's forced me to have to hide and not be seen. And I always have to think about how I angle myself as a business person. Now, I'm a creative and many other things, and I guess because of the way that society is, it forced me to get good at what I do so that I can be an authority within my own space, if that makes sense. And I'm sure any other person who's black or another ethnic minority will relate to this experience. Maybe not. Here's the thing. It's important for you to know that this experience is real, and it has been ongoing, and it is daily. And what my parents went through, what the stories I hear, like my parents tell me, and then the stories that like my older sisters tell me, and then the stories that me and my younger sister have experienced ourselves as the younger generation in our family, it's wild. Like, I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the park today. You tell me, if you go out right now, how many black people do you see on the street? How many? You literally can count them on your hand. Like, for us as black people, we go out and we're like, oh, I saw one black person today apart from me. And they didn't even wave. Why? Because there is a stereotype, even within the black community, where it's like, if you're too Western, you're a sellout. And if you're too hood, you're a thug. They're already waiting. They're like, cuff this brother and take him away. It seems like I'm being really over the top and really over exaggerated, but that is the experience that I've had. That is the experience I've had, and it is real, and it happens every day. This past week has been incredibly emotional, and I've just spent like most of my time praying and just like asking God and believing there is gonna be change. And I can see that there's already change, but here's the thing. If you are somebody who knows a black person or you have a black friend, please, please, please don't patronize them with sympathy. Just get an understanding in the same way they would try to understand you. Just understand them and the experience that they've gone through. We don't need pity parties. We don't need... Money's great. Money is great, but that doesn't change the system. The issue is the mindset of human beings, and the fact that it's not equal. We're looking for equality here. I want to grow old. I want to get married. I want to be able to date somebody who's not necessarily black and not have a phobia that I'm going to be judged because I'm black, or they're going to have issues because, oh, my ways are different from their ways. Like, that is a form of racism. You go into a relationship and you not only do you mock the way that the person lives their life, but then you also don't even try to understand where they're coming from. You don't ask questions and you don't attempt to be an ally in the way that they understand. Look, I grew up on the beach of Brighton. That is where I grew up. I went to school with white kids. I was one of 4 black kids. I was number 1, my sister was number 2, and then there was like 2 other black kids in school who were also brother and sister that my parents knew very well. And the reality was we were outmatched and outnumbered. And if people were racist, you just took it on the shoulder and you just, like, you'd go home, cry about it, you know, put your big boy makeup on and step out the next day. Like, that's literally how it was. And in many ways, it's still like that. So where am I going with this? Usually, I'm an encourager. That's what I do. And I don't like leaving people without encouraging them. So here's what I'm going to say. There is hope. There is always hope. And whether you believe it or not, Jesus died so that we could have hope. But we have a responsibility as people to love each other. And this love is not part-time. This isn't Black Lives Matter for 7 weeks, and then at the end of 7 weeks we just go back to the way things were before coronavirus. Look, there is a disease that stops us from physically touching each other. That is the reality. We need to accept that, and it gets worse the more we interact with each other. That has changed life. It has changed business. It has changed the way we do relationships. It's changed everything, and we can't pretend like that's not real. The sooner we adjust to understanding that that's what this thing has done, okay, cool, close that book, we set that aside, and then we need to look at the next thing, open the book, flip through all the pages, get a good grasp and a depth of this thing, and work at it, work at changing the system, work at it so that in school we're learning about everything. Man, all I remember learning about, it's one of the reasons why, like, I've always loved history. I thought at one point as a kid I would be a historian. And then it got to a lot of the history that I just thought was like, I was like, hold on a second, like, that's me. That's me, like, hundreds of thousands of years ago. There was a guy like me who was persecuted for his colour, and I'm like, this history isn't as fun as I thought it was anymore. And that's really sad, because I really enjoyed history. So I switched off to history, I switched off to geography, partly because I was dyslexic and I struggled with maintaining my attention span for a long time. But when you've already got the odds set against you and then you're also neurodiverse, it's like, where do you even begin? This video could probably go on for another 30 minutes if I let it. I'm probably going to edit it down and chop it down so that you guys can get in a snapshot what I'm trying to say. So yeah, Black lives do matter.